Good morning, Richard Fulmer here. Welcome to another Richard's Rock Rambles. So today we're going to carry on with our prog rock journey, and we're going to have a look at another band. Didn't make too many albums, in fact only two, plus one live album. They were called the Supergroup, made up of notable guys from other bands that had been around. Some of you may know this band, some of you may not, but it's a band that's well worth checking out. So who am I talking about? I'm talking about the band UK. Came around at about 1977, 78. Didn't last too long, as I said, only two studio albums. I think they had some sort of reunion in the late 2000s, and that was just for one or two shows, I think. So, yeah, they formed in 1977, and as I said, made up of notable gentlemen, namely John Wetton on bass and vocals. Of course, John Wetton would play for numerous bands. Uriah Heep, he did one album with Wishbone Ash. He was with King Crimson. He was the vocalist and bassist for Asia. So he'd been around the block. And then we had Eddie Jobson on keyboards and electric violin. Of course, Eddie Jobson had been with Frank Zappa. Also would play with Roxy Music. And I think he did one album with Jethro Tull. Alan Holdsworth on guitar from Soft Machine and the band Gong. Also some solo albums as well. Amazing guitarist. Very unique style. When you hear Alan Holdsworth, he's totally different to anybody else. Very unique style. And on drums, Bill Bruford. Of course, Bill Bruford had been with Yes. Also King Crimson. So yeah, these guys had some serious pedigree. And it's just such a shame that they couldn't carry on. There would be a lineup change for the second album, but I'll get to that in a minute. So let's jump into the albums. The first one is simply entitled UK. Trust me, guys, if you're into serious prog, this is one to check out. But what I liked about this band was, although they had serious prog chops, I mean, they could play all the intricate time changes and the long passages and what have you, there was a lot of melody. And what I liked about this band is the songs are memorable. I was listening to this the other day, and for a long time afterwards, I could still remember the choruses, and that sticks in your head. And I think if that happens, then it's a good record. So Eddie Jobson, electric violin, keyboards and electronics. John Wetton, vocals and bass. Alan Holdsworth on guitars. Bill Bruford, kit drums and percussion. So the tracks on here, side one, In the Dead of Night, amazing track. One of the tracks I'm talking about where the song sticks in your head. And there's about 4 parts to that. So it's basically one track for the whole side. In the Dead of Night, By the Light of Day, Presto Vivace and Reprise, and 30 Years. Great track. Amazing drumming, of course. Alan Holdsworth guitar work, as I said, brilliant. John Wetton's got such a unique voice as well. I should say, he's sadly passed on. Yeah, just amazing stuff. So this came out in 78, the self-titled album. Then we move on to side 2, Alaska, Time to Kill. That was another really great track off here. Nevermore and Mental Medication. I play this quite often when I'm looking for something a little different and yet still melodic. Of course, when these guys broke up, they would go on to other bands which were pretty big as well. So that was the first album, simply titled UK. Then we move on to the second one, called Danger Money. And here was a lineup change. There you can see is John Wetton, is Eddie Jobson, and the new drummer was none other than Terry Bozzio, who of course was with Frank Zappa for quite a while. I don't quite know what happened with the leaving of Bill Bruford and Alan Holdsworth. I think there were some artistic differences, as there usually is with bands. But Terry Bozzio was an able replacement, amazing drummer as well. Also some great tracks on here. Danger Money, the first track, the title track, 8 minutes. That's another one that sticks in your head. Rendezvous 602, The Only Thing She Needs. So there's not too many tracks, only 3 on side 1. Side 2, Caesar's Palace Blues, another great track with some great keyboard work. There was no guitar on this album, but I think Eddie Jobson's electric violin filled in pretty well, although you do miss the guitar sometimes. Nothing to Lose and Carrying No Cross, which is a 12-minute track, which is really amazing. There you get the whole prog thing going there, the time changes, just makes it really interesting. Produced by Eddie Jobson and John Wetton. So Eddie Jobson was on keyboards, electric violin, John Wetton vocals and bass, and Terry Bozzio drums and percussion. And this one came out in 1979, so just a year later. Not a bad album, but for me the first one still pips this one. And then there was one live album, Night After Night UK Live, and this was in Japan. And this was obviously with the second lineup of Jobson, John Wetton, and Terry Bozzio. So side one, you had Night After Night, Rendezvous, 602, Nothing to Lose, As Long As You Want Me Here, Alaska, Time to Kill, Presto Vivace, In the Dead of Night, and Caesar's Palace Blues. So some of the really big hits they played live in Japan. And this was at the Sun Plaza and Seinan-kan, Tokyo, June 1979. Pretty good live album. As far as I'm aware, there's not an official live DVD, although I have seen some footage of their live stuff on YouTube. So if you want to check that out, it's worth seeing. And this is also produced by Eddie Jobson and John Wetton. I think this was released on the Polydor label. Good live album. And that was that from the band. Short and sweet, 2 studio albums, 1 live, but really stuff worth checking out. If you can find those 2 studio albums, you won't be disappointed. I struggled for quite a while to find them, and then I found them in a second-hand shop years ago in Cape Town. As I said, there was a tour in the 2000s, I think 2007 or 2006, I might be wrong, where they got back together with some of the guys and they did a sort of reunion thing. John Wetton, of course, went on to Asia, where he played where he sang and played bass. Terry Bozzio, of course, did a lot of solo stuff. Eddie Jobson, I think, went on to Jethro Tull after the band and did that album A with Jethro Tull. So yeah, they still carried on with their careers. Short-lived with the UK, but as I say, really worth checking out. So for the next Prog Rock episode, I'm going to look at a band which is really close to my heart that I've been collecting and following for many years, that being Jethro Tull. Why, you ask, are they in the prog rock section? Because the early 70s, some of the early 70s was definitely prog. They didn't always stay with prog. They went into folk. They did commercial rock. They even did some pop stuff. They did a synth album in the 80s. Started out as a blues band, as you guys know, but they had some great prog rock records in the early 70s, and those are the ones that we're going to be concentrating on next time. Some interesting albums there. And then as well, I'm going to be doing a couple of videos, starting a couple of videos, and it'll be an ongoing thing. My top 10 songs of notable bands and artists. Some of the bands that I'm going to feature, I have already featured, but this will just be the top 10 songs. It's not going to be easy, especially with some of the bands that are close to my heart and that I've been following for many years. You know, to pick 10 tracks out of all those albums is not going to be easy. It's going to be quite a challenge. I can see I'm going to be throwing out stuff and adding stuff, but it should be interesting to see what we come up with. And then when I do that, and when I do the video, I'd like to see your guys' top 10 as well for that particular band or artist. So there we have it. Another chapter in the prog rock genre. And as I say, next time we'll have a look at Jethro Tull. So guys, please take it easy out there. Once again, any comments, just down below. Thumbs up, that'll be great. And if you haven't yet subscribed, please do so. Have a good week and stay safe, and I'll see you soon. Cheers.